Thank you, Sir Christopher. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship, and I begin by congratulating my right honourable friend for Clwyd West for securing what is an incredibly important debate for many of my constituents, a huge proportion of whom are off-grid, and for the sake of total transparency, Sir Christopher, my house is among those houses in my constituency that is off-grid. And I particularly want to focus my comments in this debate this afternoon, picking up after the Honourable Member for Ceredigion about the drop-in fuels point and the options that are available for off-grid homes other than heat pumps. Because, as has already been mentioned, for some of the country's oldest rural homes, installing an electric heat pump can indeed cost the 12,000 figure that we've had quoted, plus 2,000, but I have equally seen estimates for some of those particularly unique houses, those houses built out of perhaps forms of cob, or in my constituency, Witchett, where the cost of installing a heat pump with all of the necessary additional retrofit installations can be as high as £30,000. And of course, those heat pumps only work efficiently if, and it's a huge if, the house in question has those highest standards of modern insulation. Many of those older houses don't have it, and indeed those cob and Witchett and some thatch properties indeed cannot be insulated because of the nature of the way that they have been built, that the walls simply cannot be allowed to become in any way wet or damp, otherwise the materials will come apart. So, at a time when the cost of living is rising sharply, it is critical that consumers and businesses across our United Kingdom have a range of technologies at their disposal, so they're not obliged, and this is about choice, as my right honourable friend said in his opening speech, are not obliged to pick an option that may not be suitable for their property, or that indeed, as the Honourable Member for Ceredigion mentioned, would be unaffordable. There are clearly many options out there in the marketplace, some available today, some clearly still in development but close to being scalable to the point of production and wide-scale consumer use. And I sincerely believe, and I've looked at this across not just the home energy sector but the transport sector as well, that drop-in fuels have to be part of this solution. For example, renewable liquid gas. This is a liquid fuel which resembles the same chemical and energy content as LPG, but can be used as a drop-in fuel into existing infrastructure, existing boilers, existing solutions within people's homes and businesses. It is, however, produced through technology that utilises renewable feedstocks, thus meaning it has a low carbon content when compared to conventional LPG. And due to the drop-in nature, renewable liquid gases effectively utilise all of that existing infrastructure to deliver affordable decarbonisation solutions, particularly to the most hard-to-treat domestic and non-domestic properties that are off-grid. As rural electricity grids may need costly reinforcements as electrification marches forward in our country, as more and more people have a greater demand of electricity, not least for their personal transport and their cars, choosing a drop-in fuel solution for home heating and cooking may save not just the taxpayer money, but it will save money and hassle for the citizens of our country, as the infrastructure upgrades involved are either non-existent or very, very minor, as some heating engineers have told me, perhaps one or two filters in boilers having to be swapped out. However, and this is the problem that I bring to this debate this afternoon, Sir Christopher, is that there is currently a lack of recognition, particularly for renewable liquid gas, but drop-in fuels more widely, from government and indeed from some suppliers. The key to enabling supply and production of renewable liquid gas is a supportive political framework orientated towards the long-term benefit of many families and businesses in off-grid locations, who are all, aren't we all, seeking cost-effective and convenient decarbonisation solutions. It's critical, I would argue, Sir Christopher, that the upcoming biomass strategy should explicitly recognise renewable liquid gas in order to ensure continued funding and development in this area. Affordable clean energy for families and businesses is key if we are to meet the 2050 net zero ambition. Electrification is not always economically and technically feasible, especially not in the short term. Purchasing, or worse, borrowing to purchase, expensive heat pumps and energy renovations is simply not a realistic option for many of my constituents and many off-grid citizens, off-grid people and businesses across our whole country. So I urge my right honourable friend, the Minister, when he responds to this debate, to give us some good news that drop-in fuels, that renewable liquid gas can be seen as a core central plank to the government strategy going forward, so that we can avoid the cliff edge where people who cannot afford it or people whose homes cannot be fitted with it are not left with a singular option that doesn't work for them in the future.
Yeah.